If you're thinking about picking up a new Galaxy Z Fold 8 or Z Fold 8 Ultra, it goes without saying, you will want a case, unless you were made of money. Foldables are more prone to damage. After all, they have moving parts and the inner displays are more delicate. You may or may not realize this, especially if this is your first foldable, but you've probably got two key options to go for when you're picking up cases. And I'm talking about philosophies here, not case makers. There are tons of them. But you could go for a suit of armor, or you could go for what I call a turtle shell, something that protects the back but leaves the rest of the phone pretty exposed. The two case makers I'm going to talk about today are CASETiFY and PITAKA because they're the ones I've used. Now, there are a few benefits to each, and I'm going to start with CASETiFY. These are thick puppies. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 and 8 Ultra are skinny phones, but the CASETiFY cases add a lot of bulk, removing that skinniness. So these feel like foldables. They feel like well-protected foldables. You've got protection around the back, the hinge, and the sides, not on the front. The only exposed areas are the USB-C port, the ports at the top for the microphone and speakers, as well as the buttons on the right-hand side. What's really nice about the CASETiFY case is the buttons are flush with the bottom of the case, and it makes it very easy to press the volume rocker and fingerprint scanner. It's also very secure to hold in the hand. Both of the PITAKA and CASETiFY cases have MagSafe as well, so support Qi2 and MagSafe style accessories, charging, although more on that a little bit later when it comes to limitations thanks to the phone shape. The screen is exposed. There is no pre-fitted screen protector on either, so I would probably get one of those, and you'll want to make sure that it plays nicely with the case because the screen protector may create some fit issues. But having said that, overall this is a very, very protective case, and it's good for around a 4-foot drop. Now, it isn't perfect. First thing, the hinge kind of rattles a little bit, and that's fine. It opens and closes really smoothly. And interestingly, while the phone doesn't support flex mode, the Z Fold 8 that is, the hinge kind of adds a little bit more resistance, so it kind of locks in part folded, even if Samsung has disabled flex mode in the UI. It's also worth noting, if like me, you have navigation gestures set for swiping in from the left or right of the screen to go back, with this case, which protrudes so far in front of the screen, adding good protection, but it makes swiping in from the left or right near impossible, so it's going to force you to enable button navigation, which I don't love. Nevertheless, it feels super secure, and that may be a small price to pay for extra protection. Now on to the PITAKA cases. These are made of aramid-fibre as opposed to recycled plastic. Aramid-fibre is super strong, but these are super thin, 1mm thin, and they only protect the back of the phone. There are some smart touches to improve protection. The camera surround slopes down but rises above the camera surround of the phone, reducing wobble slightly on a surface while protecting the camera roughly as much as a CASETiFY case. You've also got the back protected, and given that's glass and could potentially shatter if something drops on it, that is an important factor, but the hinge is completely exposed, as is the screen. What's also interesting is the PITAKA case being so thin isn't as flush and seamless with the buttons. It kind of is a little bit sharper, so the buttons on the right, the volume and fingerprint scanner, are a little bit harder to press with it. Still, it is so thin, it feels like you haven't even got a case on the phone, which I absolutely love. So if I'm going to a festival, I will definitely be taking the CASETiFY case, but if I want something I can slip into my pocket super easily, and I'm not going to be worried about damage, the PITAKA case will get my vote. Now, it's worth noting, I'm talking about swapping between the two, but each has adhesive layers to secure them onto the phone. And so hot swapping won't be quite as easy, though you do get extra adhesive strips in the box, which is cool. When it comes to style, beyond the bulk of it all, PITAKA's comes in 3 colors. This kind of bluey aramid weave, you've got a sunset type color, and there's black, which is super safe. CASETiFY comes in every color under the sun and a ton of prints. I basically looked for the queerest theme I could find, and these two popped up. I mean, there were so many to choose from, it is unreal. So if you know that you want a specific unicorn, teddy bear, print, floral, anything, CASETiFY probably has you covered. But if you want something a little bit more understated and simple across the board from the physical design through to the color, then it's PITAKA all the way. They both cost around the same amount of money and they are not cheap, around 60 quid. So premium cases, they deliver two very different propositions, but in my opinion, both still premium. Now the final point is MagSafe, and CASETiFY's case isn't quite as strong with those magnets, so things like finger loops don't feel quite as secure, and MagSafe accessories may twizzle a little bit more easily than with PITAKA's. Additionally, it's worth noting with either of these devices, especially the Z Fold 8 Ultra, the tall camera surround will prevent things like wallets and magnetic power banks that are tall from charging. You can still use things like round and form-fitted fans and, like I said, finger loops, but it is worth noting these phones don't play as nicely with MagSafe accessories as alternatives like iPhone's Pixels and the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 8 with a DEF case. What do you think? Super protected Armour or PITAKA's turtle shell solution? Let me know with a comment and stay tuned to the channel, subscribe here and on socials for a lot more content on the Galaxy Z Fold 8 and Z Fold 8 Ultra.